Coming up next is another comedian. Give it up for Evan Jones.
From my accent, I'm from London. See, the last time I came up to Middlesbrough, my dad let me drive, so I got all excited. But as I'm going down the M25, I get stopped by the police. Now, I was really nervous because I've never been stopped by the police before. And this officer, he comes up to my window and he says, "What do you think you're playing at, son?" I went, "Excuse me, officer, what did I do wrong?" He said, "You're doing 25 miles per hour down the motorway." Now, at this point, I started to find my voice because I didn't think that I'd done anything wrong. But I said, "Hang on a minute, officer. You're supposed to be 25 miles per hour down the M25. Just like you're supposed to be 40 miles per hour down the M40. Or 16 miles per hour down the A66. Now at this point, he turned his attention to my father, who was curled up in the back seat in the fetal position and he was sweating. And he said, "What's wrong with him? Why does he look so pale?" I said, "I've got no idea. He's been like that ever since we called off the B228. I always feel like I was destined to come to Middlesbrough, ladies and gentlemen, because when my granddad left Ireland back in the day, he ended up in Stockton, but he told me he left with 3 things. He left with a suitcase, a piece of string, and a dog. And on the day he was leaving, his granddad chased him down the road and said, "Wait, you can't go, we can't live without you." And my granddad turned around and said, "Look, this is something I need to do." And his granddad said, "Well, I wasn't talking to you, I was talking to the dog." I haven't always been this size, ladies and gentlemen. This is something that Middlesbrough has done to me. Now, I was pre-warned, that's the only problem. Because my friend went to the University of Portsmouth, and he came back a year later, and he said that he put on a stone. But the reason he put on a stone is because there are 14 takeaways between his house and his SU. Now that's where I went wrong. Because there are 98 takeaways between their house and the SU. My mum was 50 in the summer, ladies and gentlemen, so I took her to Spain, because I'm nice like that. And I'm not going to lie to you, it took me 2 hours less to get to Spain than it takes me to get to Middlesbrough. Now, when I was in Spain, I caught a jellyfish. Well, I didn't actually catch a jellyfish, the jellyfish caught me. Now, basically what that means is, it stung me on the arse. Now, we all know that there's a certain warm, yellow, asparagus-smelling liquid that you're supposed to apply to a jellyfish sting. And let me tell you, I'm not a contortionist, so there is no way I can bend this to here. So I've had to rely on one of my friends. And I said to him, "Mate, you've got to do me a favour." Now at this point, he turned around and he said no. Now I know every single person in this room knows that they would happily take a piss on their best mate. So I'm in Spain, I've hit what you could call an all-time low. I'm lying in the sand, crying, begging my 50-year-old mother to wee on me. As you can tell, the rest is history. But the second I touched down in England off that plane, I received over 200 text messages. I don't even get that many on my birthday. I received 200 text messages, all of them taking the mick out of my situation in Spain. Now I'm going to read a few of these to you, because some of them are quite funny, but the first one, it really annoyed me. Because the first one said, "Alright, Pistol Pete." Now that's not funny because my name's not Pete, but the second one, it's a little bit more inventive. The second one says, "What was the weather like in Spain?" Because it was pissing down here. See what I mean? Now the third one, it's not funny, it's not smart, it's not quick-witted. But the third one said, "I heard your mother had to take a piss on you." But the reason the third one hit so close to here is because that last text came from my granddad. I do drama at uni, ladies and gentlemen. And over the summer I applied for a job at the BBC. Now when I was applying for this job, they asked me to fill out a questionnaire and send it off. Now, me being me, I thought I would put some banter into the questions that I answered, just so they'd know the type of person that they were going to employ. Right? And it was only a short questionnaire, there was only 3 questions. And the first question said, "Describe yourself in 3 words." So my first word was bubbly. Now everyone in this room knows that bubbly is the generic, universal dating website term for when you're a little bit overweight. Right? My second word was funny. Now judging by your reaction for the last 5 minutes, that was a lie. And my third word was dedicated because I actually wanted the job. So, the second question. If there was an Olympics with no sporting events, what would you win gold in? To which I replied, "Well, thank Christ there's no sporting events, because I get knackered thinking about people running." I don't know why I've said that. And the third question, is my favourite, because when the BBC sent me back my questionnaire, they felt the need to cross out my answer with a thick red line, because the BBC felt they need to censor my opinion on this questionnaire. Because the third question said, what might someone think of you after they've met you for the first time? To which I replied, what are you doing in my bedroom? Gets worse, I continued to write, worst thing about it is, that's the first time I met my nan. Yeah. So I've been told I need to go on a diet, but what I don't understand is why do you have to see a doctor first? It's not like he's got to say no, is it? Well done, mate, stay fat. You look hilarious, you keep KFC business, and you're great for green shade in the summer. So I've gone to see this doctor, and he said, Evan, you need to lose weight, your kids are going to be fatherless. So all right, doc. I don't want to pick holes in your theory or anything. Don't you have to sleep with someone to have kids? Looking like this, women aren't exactly queuing up behind me. Unless I'm at a McDonald's. So he said, you keep going the way you're going, you're going to be dead at 30. I said, is that stone or age? Because I know which one I'm closer to. Yeah, but since I joined uni in September, I've lost 2.5 stone, which isn't bad. Cheers, guys. Everyone over here is cheering for me, whereas everyone over that side of the room is thinking, Christ almighty, how big was he before? You know you have to do something when you lose 2.5 stone and your body shape is still a perfect circle. So anyway, to lose that weight I had to join the gym, and there was one day I was in the gym and I was on this treadmill, and this beautiful lady comes walking in and gets on the treadmill next to mine. And then she looks at me and she gives me a cheeky little smile. So I get all excited, but then she puts her treadmill on 10, and I'm thinking, oh God, I've got to keep up with her here. So I crank mine up from 3.5, and I start running on this treadmill. Now after about a minute, she looks over at me again, gives me another cheeky little smile, and then puts hers on 14. Now I know that I've got to put mine on 14 to impress her, but I also know that I get out of breath trying to do my shoelaces on. So I cranked mine on 14, and it was the worst decision of my life. I lasted 8 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, and I fell off. Let me tell you something, us big lads, we do not fall gracefully. So I'm on the floor, and this girl comes over and she says, oh my God, are you alright? And I'm like, yeah. And then she asked me to go for a drink, and I'm like, yeah! So eventually we're in this pub, we're having a bit of banter, and then we realise we have something in common, which is that we're absolutely legless. And then she looks me in the eye, and she said, do you want to come back to mine? Now, here's a quick tip for you. If a beautiful woman looks you in the eye and asks you to go back to hers, don't look around like this, making sure she was talking to you, because it doesn't go down too well. So I end up back at her house, and we're in her bedroom, and she says she's going to be sleeping to something a little more comfortable. So I'm thinking, great. So I strip off, and I'm there in Calvin Klein's, I'm tucking myself in, trying to look all sexy, and I hear her rustling outside the door, so I know it's not long. But she comes breaking in with these 2 children, and she says, kids, this is what you'll look like if you don't eat your vegetables. Aww. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.